So after being on the air for 8 years, the popular Cartoon Network show Adventure Time just aired its final episode, and as you can tell from the video title, I thought it was pretty bad. Now I know I'm in the minority here, as so far most of the comments I've seen have been high praising, even claiming it to be the best finale to any TV show ever. And I'm just gonna say right now here in the beginning that there were parts to this finale that I did actually enjoy. I love the animation style change when they defeated Golb. I love the two songs that were used in the middle and at the end of the episode, and I did appreciate how they tried to address as many lingering story elements as possible. But at the same time, I felt there were many things wrong with the finale, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on in this video. So I'm well aware the dislike bar in this video will be receiving a lot of attention. But you know, if you did enjoy the finale, then that's absolutely fine. This is after all just my opinion, and I'm glad that you managed to enjoy it. I will be giving reasons as to why I thought the final episode was a huge letdown, so I only ask that you at least hear me out first. You may see it from my perspective, you may want to correct my reasoning in the comments section and explain to me something I may have missed, or you may just hit the dislike button and call me a retard, but you know, that's YouTube. Anyway, let's get on with the review. So the episode is titled Come Along With Me, an obvious reference to the song that plays at the closing credits of each episode. Now me personally, I've been a huge fan of Adventure Time since the pilot episode originally went viral, and I love the random humour, the colourful art style, and the creative world it was set in. For the first part of the seasons 1 and 2, the show pretty much stuck to this formula, but then later on started to show elements of a deeper and darker plot. We saw the Ice King, who was normally a goofy, comic relief character, was actually revealed to be a normal human being who went insane after putting on the crown and lost his fiancée and everyone else he knew in his life. And we'd also get introduced to villains of the series such as the Lich, who is a big dark demon overlord person wanting to rule the world. We also got some dark foreshadowing about how the land of Ooo may end up destroyed in the future, such as at the end of the episode Lemon Hope. So understandably, there was a lot of hype surrounding this final episode. There were a lot of characters and story arcs that needed to be addressed, and there was the expectation that there would be a huge emotional loss at some point, with perhaps a main character being killed off. But was there any of that? Well, yes and no, I guess. There was certainly lots of story and character arcs being addressed, but there was so much of it happening so fast that it didn't really offer the viewer any breathing room to take it all in. This finale honestly felt like it was two specials crammed into one, and as a result they had to force a lot of events into a very short time window. It feels similar to that disappointing episode which featured the Ice King turning back into Simon for the first time. This was meant to be a huge deal that had been built up for about 5 seasons, yet for some reason they squashed it into one 11-minute episode. And in that single episode you had to address the Ice King turning back into Simon, Simon reuniting with Marceline, Simon meeting Finn and Jake, Simon saying goodbye to Betty, Betty coming to the future, Simon dying because the crown is what was keeping him alive, and also trying to defeat the villain of the episode who was stealing magic from the wizards. It was an absolute clusterfuck of an episode and a huge disappointment. They even kind of referenced this in a later episode where Simon is talking to Marceline and states that they never got a proper reunion due to so much other stuff going on at the time.
Hey Marcy, last time I was so caught up in making things right with Betty that you got left out. I'm sorry.
So I thought the show would have learnt from this mistake, but clearly not. Why did we have to include the war with her uncle for the first part? It amounted to nothing. Literally nothing. Like they almost seemed to acknowledge that in the episode itself.
So, I guess everyone's just going home, huh?
Yep.
And then for the second part, we have to rush the actual threat, which is this Golb creature trying to destroy the entire world. At this point, the series was well aware that this was going to be the final season of the show. So couldn't they have resolved the gun war plot in the previous episode? And that way giving the characters more time to have their epiphanies in the weird dream sequence? And then we could have the finale where everyone has come together to fight the evil Golb creature? Because as well as having to rush part 2, the first part also seemed very forced as well. Because as well as having to rush part 2 with the Golb creature, the first part with the gun war also seemed very forced. Every character has an epiphany within minutes, making it feel completely unearned, and the whole sudden defeat of Uncle Gumball was so anticlimactic. Like, who is this person? She wasn't in the dream sequence, so why has she suddenly turned good? Did she have an epiphany? I'm sure someone will tell me in the comment section that she had her epiphany in one of the previous episodes, but that's still poor writing as they failed to hint at that in the actual finale. She literally just trips him up out of nowhere and says,
"He never was the epiphany type."
Yeah, and that's the end of that story arc. Because of this filler time in the first episode, I felt that the second part had a lot of rush pacing, and there are certain moments in the show that I think could have been given more time to flesh out. Like where Finn, Simon, and Betty are trapped inside the gold creature. It would have been cool if Simon and Betty reverted back to their normal selves in a slower state, giving them time to start recalling their memories bit by bit, making the payoff more rewarding when they finally revert back. Maybe put greater emphasis on Finn becoming angry and distressed that he can't figure out a way to escape, and have Simon offer him the calm reassurance. Would have been a great contrast to the usual Finn being the level-headed guy, and the Ice King being the emotional lunatic. Well, there was another moment in the episode where Jake sees the treehouse get destroyed. I think having him stand there a little longer to take in what had just happened would have given more of an impact. Plus, I think it would have been a good opportunity to include some Easter eggs from past episodes as Jake begins to look through the rubble of the treehouse. Then on the flip side, there seems to also be a lot of scenes that were thrown in that didn't really need to happen. Like, did we really need to spend so much time on these two random characters at the beginning of the story?
Shermie, this is silly as heck.
Then there were other pointless moments which felt like they were straight out of a fan fiction, like the romance between Lumpy Space Princess and Lemongrab, or the romance between Gunther and the Tortoise Princess. Were these hinted at in the show before? If so, when? On this trail of thought, I bet some of you are thinking that I also had a problem with the Marceline and Princess Bubblegum kiss too. Well, honestly, no. Throughout the series, it had been strongly hinted that these two characters had somewhat of a romantic past, so it seems fitting that in the final episode they would finally confirm it once and for all. It was quite nice. Though I will complain that the moment leading up to the kiss was cheesy as fuck, as Marceline thinks Princess Bubblegum is dead, gets super angry, turning into a super form that manages to easily overpower the monster demon thing, because, you know, the power of love, I guess, only to have Princess Bubblegum completely fine, as she had emergency plot armor for such an occasion.
You're okay!
My armor has an emergency.
You scared me.
That literally felt like it was written by a 5-year-old. I also had a bit of an issue with the episode's tone and how it was inconsistent with its comedy and drama. In places, it just felt like the comedy was really forced. Now I know Adventure Time is primarily there being a comedy, but it did know when to tone the comedy down when they were trying to tell a more plot-driven episode. My prime example being the fantastic episode of the show Simon and Marcy. The episode focused on the relationship between Simon and Marceline in the past, with a very dark, Walking Dead apocalyptic kind of setting to it. Jokes were subtle and kept to a minimum, as the goal of the episode was to showcase the tragedy that led to Simon becoming insane and their friendship beginning to come to an end. That episode knew what it was. This finale, however, I felt didn't. It was like the episode was trying to be deep and dark in places, but then got scared of itself and so just forced in a couple of fart jokes here and there. Nightmare fart! So that the audience wouldn't get too sad, or God forbid, invested. I think the closest I got to emotion in this episode was about the midpoint when they start playing the Rebecca Sugar song, as the gold creature's destroying everyone. I know there was big hype with Rebecca returning to write a song for the finale, but it seemed the writers went completely overboard with its significance, as the song itself was the key to defeating the huge godlike creature. I really couldn't believe what I was seeing at that point. They literally sing together, and it solves everything. It kind of reminded me of that episode where the characters had to sing in harmony to open the Smiling Gate thing. But that episode built the plot around the song, and so it made complete sense. Here it just comes out of complete nowhere. BMO just randomly starts singing, it stops the monster in its tracks, and Bubblegum is just like, oh of course, harmony counters discord, duh, and then tells everyone to start singing along, and despite none of the characters ever hearing the song before, they all managed to sing along in complete synergy, and that's it. I think it would have been better to have the song BMO Sings play entirely over everyone being in despair, where we get to see more of the characters in the Adventure Time universe, see their perspectives and their reactions as they see the world ending around them, and then once the song is finished, we can then have the characters think of a solution. It would sure give the song a more impactful feel and make the situation feel more drastic, rather than just having it as a get out of jail free plot device. I mean, let's compare this finale to the finales of some other shows. Regular Show is a prime example. Regular Show had an entire season built up to its finale, with the whole space adventure battle thing going on. It killed off a beloved main character in a highly emotional scene, and then they showed us the characters growing up and developing the rest of their lives. Let's also take a look at the Gravity Falls finale with its Widmageddon trilogy. Huge climactic fight with the series villain, an emotional scene with Grunkle Stan sacrificing himself, though I do think his memory should not have returned so quick, and a closure on the series as we see summer coming to an end with Dipper and Mabel returning back home. What did the Adventure Time finale offer us, really? An anticlimactic gun war, which led to nothing. A pretty standard villain fight, which we've already seen with other villains such as the Lich in previous episodes. No real emotion, as all the main characters wind up completely fine, except Fern in his Infinity War moment. And no closure to indicate the adventure has now ended. In fact, all the little snippets you see in the closing song makes you think the adventure is only just beginning. How does Simon adapt to his new human life? What happens with Finn's mum and the humans returning to Ooh? Will Betty ever manage to fix herself, etc, etc? It didn't really feel like it wrapped up anything. Rather, it just set up new stories for a whole new season. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Overall, I think this finale was pretty bad in terms of what a finale should do. I think the heart was there, but I think it tried to do too much in too little time, leading to what should have been a lot of emotional moments just being skimmed over, and plot devices seemingly pulled out of their arse just to keep the pace moving. Of course, you can feel free to agree or disagree with me in the comment section, and I will be open-minded to them, provided they actually provide some form of constructive criticism. Anyways, that's about all I'm going to say on the subject for now, so until the next one guys, take care.